Hi, so I'm here to discuss some preliminary findings that have come out of a few studies that I've been doing for my master's dissertation, and these discuss the reliability of program management reporting. So this started with an observation in practice, basically highlighted there could be a problem with program reporting. Witnessed that there was quite a few issues with some that were coming into a program office within a large public body. The main problems here were that they very much focused on a written narrative to actually explain the project performance, and any data that was being used was highly summarised or reduced to be able to fit into a standardised template. So this led to an inductive study to find out sort of what was going on with the programme reporting within that organisation, and to confirm sort of these variations that were witnessed. And from that, I then went and did a literature review basically to find out what some of the contemporary issues might be affecting project reporting. This has led to the conceptual model that you can see here at the bottom of this screen. So just to give you some insight into what this actually is trying to represent, you've got a normative practice section at the bottom, which is split into 5 parts, and this basically sort of represents the transformation of data to the transmission part, and within this there's a series of bubbles that basically represent some of the contemporary issues that have been found out from the studies so far. And after this, there have been a couple of other sections that have been added onto here. So you've got the human and organisational, and various lines have been drawn between these to show the influences as they were sort of described through different studies. A lot of this work has come from the bad news reporting kind of area, which is very much a research stream which is in the IT software sort of program space, but a lot of people talking about it. However, of course, this isn't a problem that's necessarily unique to this sector. Some of the prominent studies within this area that were used to create this were Snow et al. 2007, Ikavu 2009, Flybo 2008, and Keel et al. 2014. Which is really, the last one is very much an umbrella study that kind of captures a lot of different ones that have happened. We'll say some of them are based on quite a lot of theoretical lab work that has taken place to kind of infer that these things might go on. However, these ones that I've picked, except for that Keel et al. One, very much have asked project managers. So after this, 2 further studies have been conducted. One was to better understand the approaches to reporting, to test a hypothesis that the project managers were mainly reporting using narratives rather than sort of using their data. And then there's been another one to gather perceptions of why others might hide information, perceptions from project managers to understand why others might hide information or withhold information, and equally what would be their self-reported reasons for why they might do this as well. And then those findings have been reflected onto another model, which I will be showcasing today on the next slide. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through this model briefly, so just to draw your attention to a few different points. Just to add, I think you could probably draw multiple connections here in different with different influences and different things that are going on. This really just represents like the current findings that I've got, and it's no way intended to represent a full and complete system. Anyway, to bring you your attention to the normative practice section, the use of PM tools, it does potentially indicate that there might be a bit more use of the risk log and the schedule on which people base their reporting. Interestingly, not so much maybe for the costs and benefits. What is interesting as well, though, is actually the frequency with which people are accessing them. You kind of expect maybe that it might be every time, considering this is kind of like where the information is held and you would refer to do your reports, but it's not. Interestingly as well, cost monitoring information appears to be like necessarily the least accessed, which is also interesting from the importance that it's given within normative project management literature. So anyway, the next bit of interest here potentially is the data and narrative section. So there is quite a lot of data and narrative stuff that's happening. Everybody in the survey pretty much said that that was what they used to represent their project performance information. However, it's not it's how they sort of arrive at doing the narrative section, which is also interesting. This has been added to the human and organisational factors bit, which you've got the addition of the knowledge, judgment and intuition bit, which basically indicates that there's a few thought processes going through here of how people are arriving at this information to put in their reports. There's equally moving on from that section, there's this honesty part as well. So in this honesty section, it's suggesting that people are hiding information and biasing information, and that represents a conscious decision to misreport information, essentially. And there is evidence, to suggest that there are external factors that are actually causing this. For example, you've got the culture in the organisation over with the bad news handling section. You've got basically it's a culture of people sort of wanting to only hear good news. You've also got adverse reactions to bad news as well. Plus, it seems senior managers' behaviours that could all be contributing to why this reporter might hide or bias information. There's also a suggestion here that maybe there's something going on with trust relationships. There's something around, the PM reporter here seems to be suggesting that they're using it as a way to maintain their trust relationships with their stakeholders. But equally, you've got the bad news handling cultures and stuff that are sort of undermining the trust in the PM, and equally, maybe affecting trust in their competence, essentially like that. This could also lead on to sort of micromanagement. Again, it would be another intervention into how the PM runs things, and so that could further sort of undermine the trust in the PM's competence for that. But you've got very much higher power dynamics that are also playing into this, which are also influencing, why a project manager might actually forego honesty and hide or bias information. So that's it. Preliminary results for the moment. Just wanted to share those with you. So thank you for listening. In conclusion, this research seems to indicate that there's a very complex network, as you can see, of influences that are conspiring to undermine reporting. And actually, on the back of this, I'd probably say that it's pretty unreliable to actually support governance decision making.